Hi, you guys. You have no idea what I've gone through to make this podcast work. Of course, when I don't have my equipment with me and everything's kind of in disarray, I'm in the mood to be recording. So I'm just going to have to do the best that I can, but at least I'll do it the hard way. So when I do get my equipment and my setup is finally here, it's the easy way. Anyways, it's weird because I had all my notes on my phone, but I record from my phone because the last time I did it from the computer, I was unable to upload, and I think it's from the connection speeds here. So long story short, I have notes for today. I know, I'm getting into it. I'm writing notes to go over. Now, let's talk Housewives. Now, I think that I've watched, or we've discussed the episode, the one that was with, or maybe not, with the Below Deck, which was such a great crossover. And at the time that I had recorded that one, I hadn't heard anybody else's kind of take, because I do listen to other podcasts, and I don't read blogs. I don't have the patience for that. But I do hear other people and what their opinion is, and I think across the board, most of us agreed that the gang up on Lisa is just kind of getting boring now, you know? From things that I've heard other podcasts say, I have reflected a little bit more. And then we'll also touch up a little bit on Real Housewives of Orange County. Now, before we get into that, I did see a headline that I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do a headline. And it's such clickbait because it had said that Candy Burris confirms what we knew about Riley. So I'm like, oh my God, does this mean that perhaps there's an issue? But really all they did was they went over what had happened last season and that Candy was upset that Riley had spent $14,000. They make it seem like she has a problem, which I think is disgusting. She's a Nepo baby. This is Gen Z NYC. What do you expect? What do you expect? No one bats an eye when the other rich guy, well, who's the one that no one liked? I forgot his name. That with the crypto dad, no one bats an eye then. But because it's Candy's daughter and she spent $14,000, who cares? Like, there's other things that we could be chatting about. And I think it's kind of gross when the headlines kind of get people to watch instead of being authentic and being interesting. They just, because they got me, I downloaded the video and I was like, okay, but I'm not going to perpetuate rumors about someone being, I don't even know what they were trying to imply, when you're just repeating what was on the show. It's crazy. And now that I'm getting into this world, I realize how I want to kind of steer and be much more authentic and just give opinion. I think my opinions, honestly, are great and pretty fair. So I hear this is why I decided I want to do this pod without necessarily watching some of the newer episodes. There's been a lot of backlash with the Bronwyn and Todd situation, and I'm hearing that the reason that Bronwyn came on the show is because she wanted to leave Todd, and I think that that's absolutely wrong. I don't think she wants to leave Todd. She married Todd when she was much younger. So now that she's older, she wants to leave Todd. It just makes no sense. I think that it's bringing up things that they can work through. I think that Bronwyn is going to find her power in the relationship with Todd, but I don't think that she's doing it to leave Todd. But I do have some opinions about their interactions when I see them on TV, because I can see why people would think that this is going to lead to a divorce or, you know, issues. And I think if couples look at it correctly, they can learn from it. So the first kind of thing that I have to say is, like, she loved Todd. She knew who Todd was. Todd loves cherries too, man. Why don't they just order a big bowl of cherries and you guys can both have them? Why does it just need to be one cherry? And like, why can't you guys are a couple. Get 2 cherries. Get a bowl of cherries on the side. It's making a mountain out of a molehill. And I can see what Bronwyn is saying, but at the same time, like, this is where I would give her advice and be like, don't just die on that hill and be like, oh, you ate my cherry. Like, let's compromise. Because, yeah, it does kind of make Todd look like he doesn't care, but I don't think he doesn't care. I think he just wants the cherry too. And, you know, sometimes my daughter's talking to me and she's looking right at me and I'm agreeing with her and I don't even know what she said. So maybe he's just kind of like in his head. I mean, there's cameras around. He doesn't really like that. Not that he's uncomfortable. He just doesn't, watches what he says. He's just trying to like be smooth and, sometimes you just do things and he grabbed the cherry. Like it's not the end of the world. I think you're rich enough to get a big freaking bowl. I heard that at BravoCon you're probably going to get tons of cherries. Let's not make it seem that he doesn't love her because he wanted a freaking cherry, okay? I think that that's just ridiculous. What I do see is that he's there with her, talking to her, even though he doesn't want to be. So this leads to my next point, which I wrote down, and I'm so proud of myself. She loved Todd in his ways before being on a show, and now that she's on the show, she does act a certain way to kind of make it seem like Todd is this and Todd is that. I don't know if it's a shtick or she just doesn't realize that she's doing it, but I feel like this whole perception of Todd, she could kill like that. For example, instead of saying, well, my husband didn't want me to come, she could change that and be like, well, I just really have to think, like, with everything that was going on, like, be honest, with everything that just came out in the news, I just really had to think long and hard if this was really, like, necessary for me, for my mental health. Now, we all know that you get paid and, like, you got to be on the cast trip, like, Plus, like, Bronwyn's young, like, and she doesn't have many, like, close friends, because once she leaves work, she has to go and she's a caretaker. She's a mom. She has a husband. She has this life. She does press now, She's built for it. So when people are like, yeah, she just wants to be on the show, of course. Of course she does. Like, look at her fashion sense. Like, people love her, I think that she's such a strong woman. She knows how to really articulate what she's saying. And I feel like she kind of doesn't want to step on Todd's toes when the cameras are there. So the next suggestion would be like, don't bitch to Todd about the cast members. When you guys go out, do other things. Go golfing, go shopping, talk about what you guys want to renovate the house, talk about other things. But it's always something that they talk about. And of course you do this, but he's uncomfortable. So maybe don't go to him for things like that. Like, I'm not going to go talk to my daughter about the issues that I'm having with my friends. It's not the right support. So I don't think he doesn't love her. I just think that he's uncomfortable. And, sometimes when I have issues with my friends, I don't go and I tell my mom because I know that she's going to start judging my friends. And when I was younger, I would. And then she's like, oh, you're going to go be friends with that person again, that person that did this to you. And I was like, maybe, and not that I'm hiding things from my mom, but when I know it's something that we can work through, I just don't want her to have a negative opinion about this person. She doesn't have to know every little detail, you know what I mean? It's just things it's a relationship. You get into quarrels and arguments. For this sake, it just happens that he's on TV and people look at it a certain way, Yes, he's older, but he's also, I do weird things too when I'm uncomfortable. I'm a weirdo when I'm uncomfortable. If I'm totally comfortable, I exude confidence. But if I'm uncomfortable, you can tell. And like, the poor guy can't eat a freaking cherry because he's going to get blamed for not loving her. Like, of course he's not going to want to film. So I think that she could totally mitigate this by either when they go out, not talk about the other ladies, freaking go grab Heather, go grab Whitney, call up Kiki Monique or something. I don't know, like, be friends with another franchise and just bring them on or something. And that's who you go, but get a therapist, like go to a support group. I don't know. Call up Monica Garcia. You guys would be great. I'm just saying there's so many other things that she can do, and it would make Todd look good, and like a husband, and the husband that she fell in love with, because I'm sure this is uncomfortable for both of them. They're navigating new territory. I just feel that this kind of road that they're going down, yes, it's going to make him look like, and people are going to come up with the most wildest accusations. I don't think that he doesn't love her and it's going to lead to divorce. I just think that it's a stone that they have to navigate. And in my personal opinion, he's already made up his mind about these people because he's older. He makes good money. Like, he'd rather be doing other things on TV and looking embarrassed that these women are fighting over what? Articles that come out in the press? Their past? Everyone has a past. But also there's a reputation that he has to uphold, and I understand that. It's just, and so who cares what people think? Who cares? Of course. Who cares what people? Of course. And this is the past. But your past can come back and haunt you. Look at the Real Housewives of Orange County. And sometimes when it comes to professionalism, a slight crack and people will look at you the wrong way and they won't take you as serious. And he's also navigating this for the first time, and I'm going to give him grace. I'm going to give him grace until I see something that is really not right, you know? I don't think that Bronwyn is as innocent as she looks when she's on TV. I'm sure that she talks back to Todd, but you know, I'm sure that she's just a little firecracker. I can just see it. But like, I think that she goes to 0 to 100 in front of him because she's comfortable and they have that banter. And then when the camera's around, he continues being himself, but she has to tone it down a little bit so she doesn't look like a psycho. It's fine. That's the way that they communicate. It works for them. They've been together this far. If I see them start to break up, I'm going to get pissed. I'm going to figure out a way to contact her and be like, no, you cannot let this happen. They went through infidelity and they still stay together. Like, there's a reason that they're together, and I just don't want them to succumb to something so dumb. Like, he's there to support her, you know, and this is just something that's going to make the relationship stronger, and she needs to tune out the noise from the fans and the other cast members. Like, I don't see any of your husbands filming, okay? But one thing she doesn't do is she doesn't run to her husband when there's an issue. She deals with it on her own, and all she does is vent to him about it. And maybe just stop the venting. Who cares, you know? How was it? Great. It was fine. There were some issues. We worked through it. Because for him, it just puts stress on him, and all he goes back and references is that one time that he was with them and they were acting psycho. Okay? Let everybody else's marriage fall apart. Let it, you know? I don't see Angie coming on and really talking much about the other cast members to Sean, because that's just not who would give her the support that she probably needs, you know? The men are very black and white. Like, they don't think in colors. They're just going to be like, oh, well, who cares, you know? That's just my opinion. And I just think that it's just crazy that people are saying that he doesn't love her. He doesn't love her. He's done so much for her and her family and her daughter. He knew what he was marrying and who she was, and he fell in love with that. And this is just going to see her in a new light, and she just has to learn how to navigate it. And not hide things from him, but find the support that she needs in this type of world, because he's also not a reality TV star. But find the support that she needs from someone that could offer that to her, and she can navigate it much easier, you know? Yeah, like, I don't go, for example, my exes, and I know I'm kind of like digressing here, but I don't go and I talk to them about things that would happen in, like, for example, the female change room, like when I would play sports or bodybuilding. Like, it just like, they would be like, why are you telling me this? Like, ew, that's gross, you know? Whatever. I'm just coming up with a really weird example, but I'm just saying there's just some things that you don't have to tell the husband. It's not like you're cheating, but just some of the girl drama, like, figure it out. Go talk to your girlfriends about it. The men don't really care, you know? He does make the money. He does call the shots. And, Jesus, just get him a tub of cherries next time, Bronwyn. Come on. That's not fair. That's not fair to get one cherry and blame him. You know, me and my daughter do like a lot of the same things. And when we go places, we order extra, because, of course, I'm going to get upset if she eats it. And she's going to get upset if I eat it. But you know what? You can order more. And I get it. It's the concept of him listening. But he was also uncomfortable. And again, people do things when they're uncomfortable to just, you know, fidgety or whatever. And he just probably, like, you know, it seemed like he didn't even clock it when she's like, I just told you. And he's like, what? Like, the guy just wanted a freaking cherry, you know, to change the taste in his mouth. Anyways, I think that she had his back also a little bit more. Stop blaming everything on the husbands. I hate when housewives do this. Like, you're the one that signed the contract, and if he doesn't like it, you're going to have to, like a kid, spice it up to him, you know? Doesn't sex get boring after a while? So what do? You spice it up. Men don't want to see women fight. Like, they're not like 18, 19, you know? Like, they're also on TV, like, it's awkward, you know? And also the fighting is so dumb. Like, it's just so dumb. And I do like it when a man stands beside his woman, but like zip it. Like don't be Roman from Selling Sunset and like, you know, first of all with your accent and they're over top of each other. No. But what you can do is just like, I don't know, like touch. Like with the, so that, you know, rub her back, you know, so that she knows that she's supported in that moment and that it doesn't go too crazy. If she starts to get a little bit crazy, that's when you can pull her back. But I'm not going to engage. If a man engages with another woman, that's just crazy. Okay? Like, it's not your battle. Because then what's going to happen is the men are going to start, and it's unnecessary. 2 weeks are going to be friends anyways. But for guys, like, there's an ego, and like now we've just got into a fight, now we have to pretend to be friends again. Like, they don't have vaginas. They don't think that way. And it's unfair to put them in situations like that, you know? Of course, can people misinterpret what you say, and now you have, like, of course, like, sometimes I don't agree with some of my friends' boyfriends or husbands, and we get into it. We debate. But it's nothing like, I'm going to, you know, kill you, and I'm going to kick your ass, and I'm going to call my man to kick you. It's never like that. And it stays between us. And I think there was a situation when John did see that, and he just had a conversation with, I forgot Whitney's Justin, right? And I love that. And that's how you move forward, because you can't say that the men can never talk to the woman. Like, what, they're supposed to look at the wall? So when everything's good, like, let's laugh and have, but then we can't, like, argue and debate and have different opinions, because, you know. But if it's a situation between two women, stay out of it. Either be far away or just kind of like be there for support. Because I think like in a moment like that when they are married, like I think women like to see that their husbands like support them, you know. But don't be Peter. Don't be Peter. Sorry, Cynthia, I love you. And but Nini was right. Like, the men need to stay out of it, because men look at things completely differently, and sometimes they're even more emotional and possessive, and they put so much more fuel on a fire that doesn't need to be there. The woman, if you trust your woman and you know that she's strong, you're just going to stand behind her because you're like, she's got it. I'm just going to be here so that if fists starts flying, I take her out of there, because that's just unnecessary. Because at that age, you know, one thing I didn't like was the whole Gretchen situation. Like, I know that she's talking about Slade. I get it. Tamara's talking about Slade. But you're approaching her with Slade, who she does not like, and I don't think will ever like. And then as she's walking away, you're like, yeah, like that just showed the white trash in Gretchen. Like, Gretchen, what are you doing? It's just, I think Gretchen is so like tone deaf when it comes to seeing that like no one likes Slade. Like, you're going down because of Slade. Alexis went down because of John. Alexis walked into the season, okay, sure, she's with John. But she stood by her man. And Shannon was the people's favorite, like the fan favorite last season. So because Alexis went so hard and had John's back, they both sank in that ship, unfortunately. Then you have Gretchen coming on. And we want to give Gretchen a chance. She's awesome. But then there's Slade, and everyone hates Slade. Like, even the new people that had never seen Slade, they still hate Slade. It's just something about him. He's just so, I don't know. Obviously she loves him for a reason, but there's just something that he just cannot portray himself correctly on TV. And Slade, listen, of course you're going to gossip with your wife. Like, she's not going to go to anybody else, but sometimes you have to pretend that you don't know what the hell is going on and zip it. Let the women do the gossiping. Like, you're not TMZ, and you kind of look like you're a bitch when you do stuff like that. Like, why are you so involved in like all the gossip, you know? In fact, I would be like, what are you talking about, Gretchen? I would make it so that Gretchen doesn't get in trouble, but instead you also throw fuel on the fire, and then you wonder why. Like, you don't even want Gretchen to come out of this on top. You almost want her to go to battle for you. Like, let's fight old fights and get this over with. Like you're the man here. You have been not on the show the longest, but you've been there from the beginning. You are back now, and of course things have changed. I think that it's a lot more produced now. I think it was a lot more real back in the day. Now it's like, they call it reality TV because there's no scripts, but when you have producers and cast members kind of self-producing, like going in with strategy. Like, this isn't a game show, but like, it might as well be fake reality TV. And I think that Slade of all people should have told Gretchen, like, we have this and we know this. Go out there and just show them how great you are, And if she had said something by accident and then she called Slade, I think in that moment Slade should have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. Just like you did with Katie. You know how you said that thing and then when Katie brought it up, you pretended you guys had no idea what was going on? You should have done that for Gretchen. Because Gretchen is sinking the ship because of you. And if you don't see that and you want to keep blaming Tamra, you have to also realize that the show is based on fans. Like, one day they love you, one day they hate you. Unfortunately for Slade, they've hated him for like all this time. And I don't know, like, even the new people, it's just like, I get it. Like, you guys are like this and like you do everything together, but someone needs to be the voice of higher reason, and I think that you should have done that for Gretchen. I think that that's what Slade should have done for Gretchen. It's just really sad to see her sink, just like Alexis did, because of her man. But I think Bronwyn should also take notes, because this is where Bronwyn's different, so now I'm crossing these two. Bronwyn will just throw Todd under the bus. She'll get, Todd didn't want me to go. It was all Todd. Like, no. See, like, they already don't like Todd. So this is where, like, you got to flip the switch and have his back a little bit, like, it should, you guys are a married couple. He's not forcing you to stay. You could have just came. I think that it's just because she wants to fly a certain kind of way, like private, and sometimes, like, I have ADHD too. When I have to prep, like, I can't be in, if I'm waiting to do something really important, I can't be like, like, I'm like sitting there, like, I gotta like prep myself, I gotta get into the mood. Maybe she needs that because she is walking into something. She just dealt with all the stuff of her past coming up. We all have a past. We all have a past. The only thing is, we're not all on TV. And some pasts are juicier than others, way juicier. But this is what makes people stronger and grow. And she had put it behind her, okay? She's not a criminal. And it's sealed. And then this is another thing that I keep hearing. It's sealed because they didn't want Todd's business to fail or for his reputation to be ruined. She's on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. If that was the case, he would have made her quit, or he would have divorced her after last season. Could you guys not think that maybe, pardon me, it's the plaintiff? Maybe the plaintiff, the person whose identity was stolen or whatever, maybe it's them that want the protection. Their identity was just stolen. I don't think they need the world to know all the details of now where they live or this and that. Like, it's always trying to throw that one person under the rug, and no, it's not true. They sealed it, they paid to seal it. No judge is going to be like, oh yeah, sir, your reputation, you don't want your reputation ruined? Yes, let's seal that just for you. Really? Because judges are supposed to be the most honest. So if someone's paying off a judge to do it, I mean, of course there's corruption everywhere, but come on. You even paid the bloggers to write all these articles, but when push comes to shove, they will always expose. So let's just give that judge the benefit of the doubt. And these are allegations, okay? But I'm going to say that it's because the other party wanted it to be sealed, and it's for their protection. It's for the protection of everybody, okay? This was a fraud case, identity theft. Do they want their identity stolen again? Like, people are crazy out there, And this is why sometimes after things like this, people will change their name and just completely fall off grid, because if it is open, then what happens is it kind of leaves the door for it to continue or it to just exasperate, I guess, But that's the stance that I want to take, because I think it's so dumb that people want to say, let's talk about what she did. Okay, well then let's talk about what everyone's done. No, seriously. Because no one wants to talk about what Dave did, or done, sorry, but let's talk about what Bronwyn did. And then another issue that I keep hearing is like, no one wants to talk about what she's done, but they want to talk about who brought it up. Of course that's more important. No one gives a hoot No one gives a shit what people have done in their past. It's the past. It's just like when you go to the party and the same guys are talking, oh, remember that weekend when we drank, guys? No one cares. We're moving on. That was 20 years ago. Like, you keep reminiscing on the same weekend like it's done. I'm sure it'll come up organically, but it is kind of weird that every time a housewife is now on a show, their past comes up. Always. How come Bronwyn's past didn't come up before? How come it's coming up now? Why? You know, and another thing is, there's people from our pasts, and I'm going to say myself included, because let's just say I get to a level where people will bring me down. I'm going to be prepared for it. But one thing I know is that right now I'm not doing anything, and I've already done my time and changed my life around from some of the bad things that I did in the past. One thing about me is when I'm going through something, or let's say I'm doing something bad, I can't be in the limelight. I can't be out there and about. What kind of a dummy is doing illegal things and still putting the... Do you ever see the mafia on TV? Come on. People are not dumb. Bronwyn is not dumb. She wouldn't come on this knowing Todd, how sensitive Todd is for his job, and also with such a colorful past, it would put her in any sort of trouble. Okay? Yes, Teresa did, but Teresa didn't know what was going on. Joe did, and that's why he didn't want to be filmed. See? See? Guys, don't be so dumb. And I know that it's like TV, but it's the wrong kind of TV that we're watching, and this is how things get so toxic. You know? This is my opinion. It is kind of funny that things are coming up. And everything's coming up. And the thing with Lisa is nothing from her past has come up. She's just involved in things now, which obviously are going to be shown, but there's just no accountability. I think when things come up, people need to be like, yeah, like, who cares? Explain it. And that's it. And I think Bronwyn did that. And Bronwyn didn't even say anything. She's like, I just think it's someone in this group, because now that I'm here on this show, of course people are going to reach out. But then that person went and dug a little bit more and got more information. And then somehow the bloggers or the press get it, you know? I mean, it's not going to be on, unless it's like a case like Wendy's, where it's like live and it's a huge case. I think it's federal, or because it's like something fraudulent for X amount of dollars. It's happening in real time. Of course it's going to be on TV. CNN is not going to cover something that Bronwyn did 10 years ago. Who cares? It's these bloggers that are bringing it to light. It's just the day and age that we live in. And leads to the next point. We need to stop telling our housewives to stop talking to bloggers and icing them out like they did to Katie. Because you know what? Let me tell you about Katie. This is what I think happened with Katie. Katie was just having a conversation with Kiki Monique. You know, she was shooting the shit like we always do. And she felt comfortable talking to Kiki because they were forming a friendship. And, you know, it's an old wives' tale. You bond over gossip. You know, it's healthy for you, right? This is what they say. Read history books. This is how women used to become friends back in the day. I don't think for a second she expected Kiki to go put it to the blog. She was just shooting the shit with her, because she's like, well, this is someone that understands the world, but it's not necessarily on my show. So if I gossip, she knows what I'm saying, etc., etc. It's just interesting. It's fun for them, you know? And they weren't there from the beginning. So it's like, oh my God. When Kiki had told that person by accident, the one that Jeff Lewis doesn't like, by the way, Jeff Lewis, love you, that person was the POS that went and brought it out. And I think that's where the disconnect was. Because Katie was almost blindsided because she didn't expect Kiki to go tell people. And the way that it was told made it seem like she was deliberately putting out these rumors. And no one gave her grace. And I think had people just simmered down and allowed it to organically heal, it would have come out. Because even Kiki came out and said, I didn't deliberately go and say something. I just was like, I told the wrong person. It was my fault. Kiki admitted it on Jeff Lewis's show. But by this time, because Katie wasn't supposed to say anything and she was so scared, she'd already denied it. It just takes a few months to come back and realize what you've done wrong. And unfortunately, because you're filming, like, you got to do things so quick, you don't have time to process it, you know? And I just hope when I do see Katie, because I love Katie, and she, who cares, she lied, she was scared. you know, like she wasn't supposed to say anything and she gossiped and by accident, like it comes out, you know. I don't think for a second she was like, let me tell you all these things, go put it in the blogs, you know. She didn't pull a Marge. Sorry, Marge. But she didn't pull a Marge. She didn't pull a Lisa Barlow planting all these stories. She wasn't Monica Garcia. And then damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because then Monica admitted it and then look what happened to her. So like, you know, like, it's so funny to me. Like, people want, the fans, regular people want people to act a certain way, and when they do, they get mad at them. Like, let's just take a freaking minute to see what's going on, okay? Yes, Tamara jumped in and made this a big thing, but Tamara's also getting paid to push a storyline, because who else is going to? Who else is going to? This is where Tamara is a little bit at fault. Tamara is now a paid actor, okay? She's doing strategic trader challenge, Big Brother / strategy thinking, you know. Not only does she talk about the Housewives all the time, she, you know how sometimes her and Dolores or even Teddy will be like, well, production paid, like fourth walls constantly breaking. Like, it's literally become, I think, a movie set for Tamara. So she can switch on and off really quick. And I think she expects other people to do the same. But first of all, no one's as tough as a bitch as Tamara. We know Tamara's a tough bitch. And Tamara is very impulsive, and I told you, my setup is kind of, you know, Tamara's very impulsive and she's very reactive. She lets it all out right there. So she gets that, she doesn't hold anything in. But she also has to give grace to the other person, because not everyone's going to react to news or react to sadness or anger the way that she does, and she just expects people to move on so quick. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Like, this isn't act 1, act 2, you know, like scene 1, scene 2, cut. Like, she is really kind of going a little too fast, and the audience, the fans, people, we miss things. And this is where I think that if they had slowed it down, and Tamara should know by now, like, it's going to unfold as it should. Like, she doesn't need to be so explosive and reactive. I also think that the way that they just bring it up, like, I'm going to go tell them, and they run, like, whoa, like, wow. Like, it's like you're purposely wanting to start a fight. Like, let's just have shows where we can enjoy the moment, and somehow in conversation it comes up. But they literally go to have lunch because they're not friends. They want to just I found this out about you. I just wish that in that moment someone had told Katie, look, yes, you lied, you were scared, but just go on and say, yes, I gossiped with my friend and I didn't think that she was going to say something, because not only would that have saved her relationship with Kiki, because I think Kiki was looking for that as well. She expressed it. She's like, I was going to apologize, but she just like ghosted. And of course she was scared. Like, she doesn't know how the audience is going to react. She knows that she did something wrong. And then her friends turned on her. Jen turned on her, who, Katie, like, now you know how Jen is. I would never take her back. And Gretchen also. They denied it. Like, that is such bullshit. And then when it got twisted on Gretchen, and not that I liked it, but when it got twisted on Gretchen, and Gretchen was the one that was iced out, how do you think that felt, Gretchen? You just want to be heard, or you just wanted a minute or two to process, you know? We have pasts, like, we're humans, and we make mistakes. And I think, okay, I'm going to talk for myself. I would rather see women in that position not constantly fight. It's like the boyfriend and girlfriend that are constantly, we broke up on Facebook, and then all of a sudden you see them together again. Like, you just told us you broke up, but when did you guys get back together? You need to announce when you get back together too, you know? We want to see the conflict, and we want to see the resolution. And all we're seeing now is conflict and bullying. It's straight up bullying. They did it to Alexis. They did it to Katie. They're doing it to Gretchen. They did it to Jen too, before Alexis. I've never seen a show where, look at Salt Lake City. They fight and they still do activities together, you know? not that they know that, like, okay, like, this is just, we have to, but I think they're just all looking for a resolution. They don't want to live in that space. Whereas, like, you have Tamara, who's like the main character who knows what she's doing. She's like the paid actress that's been on the sitcom for like 20 years. So she knows how this game works, you know. She's like Boston Raw, but for like the Housewives, right? Like, everyone's scared to go up against her because she just moves it along so quick. People need time to process. Like, this isn't a game show. There's no end line, and if it has to go on to the next season, let it. But I think it just needs to go back to being a little bit more organic, but not so toxic. Pardon me. It does get a bit too toxic when no one wants to listen to each other. Think Jersey, you know. And then you have Atlanta, and Atlanta is, or Potomac right now. It's so funny because they just throw shade at each other. Like, someone will apologize and they're like, but they're still all sitting in the circle and chatting and being a cast. Like, you can't tell another cast member that they can't show up and ice them out. That's wrong. That's their money. Like, you guys are a cast. You guys, it's like a sports team. If someone doesn't play their position right, you're gonna be like, get him off the team. That's it. No, you guys huddle and you practice again, so that the next time you play, you get it right. It's just, OC is going to get a big reboot if this keeps going on like this, where they keep icing people out, because even though Katie did something wrong, Gretchen did something wrong, Alexis perhaps did something wrong, because they're like a deer in headlights, like, they're always blindsided, they're always ambushed, they need a minute to process. It's their first year on. Can you imagine your first year on in front of cameras? Things are starting to come out in the press already because, like, people are watching the show. You need a minute. And these guys are seasoned veterans, you know. It's like they're going to war and, like, they know what to do, and, like, then you guys are like, what are we shooting at? Like, it just, or like, you know, when the kindergartens come in and then, like, you have the grade 5s, like, showing them around, you know, and the kindergartens are scared. Like, you're not going to scare them so they never come back to school. They're going to make mistakes. This is all part of it. Before, they used to blog. Remember how they used to talk shit about each other on the blogs? Now there's bloggers. They just pass information to. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I think production knows that at this point. Like, it's just going to happen. And I think what they've done is they've just tried to make the best of it and see resolution happen. But in this case, some of the housewives just get so caught up with not moving forward from it. Yeah, you can't talk to them. You can't talk to them. What? What do you mean? People can talk to whoever they want. If they're leaking things about the season, let production deal with them. They didn't sign a contract with you. They signed a contract with Bravo or whoever the production company is. You just do your job. Veteran, Emily, Gina, Tamara, Heather. Like, maybe give people some grace. Maybe allow things to work naturally. Don't think that you're on some TV show. Oh, well, production this, call time this. Like, it's just becoming too fakey. And then you have these poor girls coming on for the first time that think, oh, it's a reality show. And really, like, there's a strategy plan and they've been eliminated from it. And they're the ones that look like shit, unfortunately. And people are going to make mistakes, of course. But didn't we just say people have colorful pasts? You learn from it and you move on. Where the disconnect happens is the reaction to that. They react so badly that people will always feel worse for the person that made the mistake, because they're like, well, that the punishment does not fit the crime, you know? And Tamara, Heather, Shannon, Emily, Gina, they already have been seen on TV and they've made really bad mistakes, but because they're harping on a newbie's mistakes, the fans and the audience are going to be like, oh, okay, she's gone back to the person that she was. They're just going to judge you by that time that you were the craziest. And that's not how you're going to ever be a fan favorite, and you're always going to be hated. And that's why Tamara's always the villain. For a minute there, people felt bad for her. And then she just slipped right into that role again, you know? She had just made peace with Gretchen. Then she brings out these texts from years ago. You know what? You could definitely tell that Heather was ambushed and blindsided in that moment as well, because her reaction. But if this is something that's that important to you, and I get it, It was in the minute. And I feel like sometimes Heather is so scared they all are, of Tamara. They're like, we have to be explosive, and oh my God. And then after that happened, they all felt bad. They're like, wait a minute, like, we didn't even have proof. And Tamara was like, yeah, well, I had proof. Tamara, you just made peace with her. iHeart brought up those likes from those tweets last year, and you and Teddy both decided, because Teddy mentioned it on her podcast with Erica, Diamonds in the Rough, that you guys decided not to bring it up on the podcast. iHeart dug it up. Our Heart just found it or was given a tip. You guys decided not to bring it up. But then you bring it to the show after you and Gretchen had already made up. Tamara. And then Heather, this is creating violence against people in the LGBTQ community. What did you just do to Gretchen? You just pretty much started a hate campaign against her for things that you don't even know are true or not. I think that would have been a perfect moment for Heather, especially the way Heather is, be like, okay, that's a little bit concerning. I need a minute to just process this. Gretchen, let's have a conversation about this when we get back. We just had a great trip. I just threw my dad's ashes. I'm at peace. And also I need proof, screenshots, timeline, receipts, all that kind of stuff, I think that would have been better. And then having a sit down with Gretchen and educating her along with the audience. But right now you look crazy, and you look like, this is the way I think, that the LGBTQ community just wants to obtain everything through violence, to violently assaulting people to make them think however they want them to think. But you did not realize that you just did the same thing to Gretchen. You guys did the same thing to Katie, and prior years, same thing had happened to Jen. And I'm sorry to say, Tamara does bring this all up, but again, Tamara because she just bulldozes through, no one stops her. Not saying that, she doesn't move the storyline along, but who else is going to do it? The show's really going to get canceled before it even gets canceled. At least if it gets canceled, it's because it's getting too toxic. But if she doesn't push it along, it's who's going to? She knows she has to push it, but no one's really holding up their part. Everyone just wants to kind of have some balls. Gina, be like, no, I'm not. If apparently production told you to do it, no, I'm not going to do it. I won't. I need proof. I'm not going to do it. How about we have a sit down with Heather or with Gretchen alone? That would have been nice. But you brought it up. What was the point of that? And of course, Gretchen is also a deer in headlights. She's like, what? People like a lot of things. You have to think about it. And why is she not allowed to have an opinion? Of course, it's a disgusting opinion. But that is when you educate these people on why that type of is dangerous. This is where I think people are going to side with Gretchen again, even though what she did is crazy. I will, for sure. Because the delivery was terrible. That's not how you teach people. You don't correct violence with violence. You teach why violence is not going to work. And that would have been such a great learning opportunity. Again, not just for Gretchen, but for the audience to see why something like that is so detrimental to the lives of the LGBTQ community. That would have been perfect. Even when Heather had called Terry, and I know that the anger came from a place of obviously just being thrown information and not being told, so that's when she definitely was blindsided, but it also makes me think that Heather is very strategic as well, and she's following in the footsteps of Tamara. Everything is pre-planned for the show. She's calm and poised, but see, when she's throwing information, see how she reacts? Like a normal freaking human being. Now, I'm not saying let's always throw information like this at her, because if that's the type of reaction that we have, then, that's someone's kids as well. She doesn't want to come off looking crazy. Of course, she's going to do anything for her kids, but she also wants to maintain this reputation so that if she does want to teach people why it's dangerous, they'll listen to her. Once you go crazy, you kind of lose that credibility. And then you guys ice out Gretchen from the car. Emily, you were the one that was on the outs before. Now you're doing this. Emily has such a great podcast, Legally Brunette, with Shane. I love Emily the lawyer. I love Emily's podcast. She's organized. She takes her notes. She's got notes. If Shane accidentally says something the wrong way, she corrects. She does her research. But when it came to this, she just believes everything that anyone says. It's Emily, bring some of that lawyer knowledge in here. Like, do your research. Like, I know it's a bit, I just think that would be a little bit more interesting. It would just, the navigation through that, rather than just all piling up on one person. The fact that, okay, Katie made a mistake. Katie made a mistake. You also made a mistake. I think that it's all projection. You want to look like your house is perfect. Like you don't, just say, yeah, I talk shit. I shouldn't have. Just say it. I always accidentally talk shit, and then my daughter will come and be like, who are you talking about? Oh, I shouldn't have said that, you know? Because I also want her to learn that gossip is not the best thing. Like, just say it to the person's face. Now, she's seen me say it to the person's face, but sometimes you just need to let things out. And that's where the education comes in. It's educating, you know? Kids are smart. Even if you don't say anything, they can be in the next room and they put down their music and they're listening. I talk to someone on the phone that I don't normally talk to, and my daughter's like, who are you talking to? Because she just knows my voice changes. Or kids are smart. They know their parents. It's okay. It's okay. Again, another learning opportunity. Like, I think Katie just was trying to find common ground. Like, ha ha ha, this would be funny, you know? And especially since they weren't getting along. Of course, my daughter's going to hear me talk shit about my enemy. We talk shit about Tamara. We talk shit about Emily. Of course she's going to hear it. Of course. Let's say there was a fly in the wall, and the fly in the wall went and exposed what we talk about. Fly in the wall, you're never coming back here again. And I think that Katie's daughter made herself look bad because, I mean, you're not signing an NDA or a confidentiality agreement when you're going to people's homes, but let's say you do end up becoming a nanny for a high profile, like, you got to keep these things in, right? Katie's also on a show. And it's kind of cute when kids repeat what the parents say, you know? Tell me really what you're thinking. Heather should have just owned it and been like, yeah, we didn't get along. Those are her kids. They're going to have her back. You know? Heather at that point should have been like, I don't want those kids to think that I'm bad, so maybe I'll get along with Emily. Or maybe I'll change the way that we communicate so that when she does go home and talk about me, it's in a much more, we don't have to be best friends, a positive light. It's just, the fights are so, like, even my kid doesn't have these type of fights at her school. It's becoming childish. It's becoming Mean Girls. It is Mean Girls. It is bullying. When you don't let someone that's part of your cast come onto the bus. Gretchen is a mom to a girl. She could go, like, people were like, you go down as dirty as Tamara. No, but she could. She was on the show before. She knows how Tamara is. She knows how it was before. She could go down and dirty. And she did warn Tamara. She's like, I could expose you too and say all this shit. But she maintained. She held herself back. She held herself back. She did go low, but not as low as Tamara went at the end. This is just, like, you had just made peace with Gretchen. What was the point of this? And then in the confessional, she's like, yeah, well, the bitch, that's what she gets for saying it to me. But you guys just truced it. You just made it. And I think because the way that Heather reacted, then Tamara felt like she could react. But if Heather had a more composed reaction, Tamara would have been like, oh, wow, okay. Talk about Tamara becoming the blogger. Like, is that Melissa's old nose over there, Tamara? Like, it's one thing that you have a podcast. Of course, people are going to tell you, people message cast members all the time, but even what she had said about, well, Wendy's neighbor messaged me and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's, so now you just exposed Wendy's neighbor, and you're starting shit. And then maybe that person wanted it, but, like, you're a professional. You are just, your life is so private. And if anyone talks about your life, it's terrible. And to be honest, I'm going to give Tamara, like, outside of the show, she lives a pretty, like, normal life, you know? I've never heard all her friends that she says, me and Eddie, we went with our friends to Big Bear, we had wine, you know, we had dinner. Those people don't come out and say shit. Teddy doesn't say shit. But even Teddy's, like, when Tamara's like, you need to be on Orange County, Teddy's like, ha 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 ha. Teddy loves Tamara, but Teddy's relationship with Tamara, Teddy's the one that got Tamara on the podcast, but it will never be what her and Kyle have, because Kyle, even under the most angriest circumstances, would never throw Teddy under the bus on TV. It's so evident that Tamara has TV friends, and we have yet to see the outside TV friends, because we thought it was Shannon and Vicky, and you saw what happened there. That's why Teddy's like, okay, no, we'll just podcast together. We're good, you know? I don't think that it's a good idea for Teddy and Tamara to be on the same show, and I think production knows that too. Just do the podcast together. Just do the podcast, that's it. Because who knows, in the heat of the moment, she's reactive and impulsive. Something happens, and that's going to completely destroy their relationship together, and I think Teddy knows that. And although they love each other, they're close, they're best friends, like, there's just some friends that you know to do things with, and other friends that you can get a little bit more deeper with, you know? Some will understand what you're doing, some will judge, some might hold it, you know? You love your friends. That's just their character flaws. That's you take inventory, and you just know who to go to for support and who not to. Tamara's really close friends don't come on the show. It's separate. Now, Vicky, it's a crossover for Vicky, you know? They have history. So, of course, they're always going to kind of share that bond. But the way they trash each other and then, like, expose each other's secrets and then, oh, let's be friends again. I just think that when that's your friend and they're not listening to what you're saying, it's not about you. If you're really trying to convey a message to your friend, Brooks has cancer and he's lying about it, or Brooks' cancer is a lie. Tamara in that moment just wanted everyone to be like, yes, you're right, that she didn't think about her friend. And the only way she knew how to maybe get it through to Vicky was to prove how right she was, and that's what destroyed the relationship with Vicky. I'm sure at that moment Vicky's like, okay, we've gone through a lot, but this, Tamara, because that also puts Vicky in that light, you know? You know when you break glass and you put it back together, there's always going to be cracks? Unfortunately for glass, it never gets stronger, no matter how much glue you put on it, you know? It's that fragile. Look what you did to Shannon. I think as a friend, you have conversations, you're like, what you did was gross, and if it happens again, there's going to be a problem. Karen Huger had 4 DUIs, and although her castmates / friends were like, that's just crazy, they didn't go to the level that Tamara did to Shannon, you know? Shannon made a huge mistake. Heaven forbid people make mistakes. And Shannon, this message is for you. You just wanted people to understand that you were going through a lot, but yet when it comes to Gretchen, Katie, you know, you're getting filmed on a show. You know, if you walk through the street, people film you, right? I think that Katie was the most honest with you that any of your castmates have ever been with you. So, and you iced her out. Like she said, I'm sorry, yes, I did it. Dude, sometimes I see my friends acting crazy, or like they're acting and I film them, you know? It's kind of creepy, but if you don't want to be filmed or to look crazy, just don't do it. Like, not everywhere is a safe space, Shannon. I think with Shannon, it's like when she has something to say, she doesn't care who's around, she's going to say it, and she doesn't care if she makes herself look like trash or not. And I think she can be very classy, and I think, like, you know, she does the shtick for the show, but like please act like a grown-ass woman when need be, you know? You have 3 daughters, and if they were treated that way, and I bet you she'd say, well, they would never act that way. Okay, but like, you're also not a psychic, and like, people make mistakes. They might not be the mistakes that Katie made, they might not be the mistakes that you've made, but they're going to make their own mistakes, and you better hope that people give them the grace that you guys should have given Katie and Gretchen and Alexis. Can you imagine if you and Alexis formed a bond and you guys were like this, you know, and you'd gotten through it, and you could be castmates, and, you know? And then you could be like, look, Alexis, I respect that you and John are together now, but I just don't want to know any details because I'm still hurt from it. I think Alexis would be like, understood. But it's like tit for tat, like, yeah, I got, you know, like, that's my leftovers. And okay, it just didn't work out for you. He wasn't a good man for you, but she loves him. Great man for her. Also, like, you know, Alexis has learned a lot as well. And I think when it comes to Alexis, like, I think Alexis was the only one that was actually like herself on and off. Because I see her on her Instagram, I see her on the Carlos King, or I listen to her on the Carlos King podcast. She's 1000% still herself, how she acted on the show, how she still goes hard for John, how she defends Tamara, how she's loyal. I see Gretchen a little bit, you know, like there's that side of Gretchen that comes out. But Alexis has always kind of like maintained who she really authentically is. And I'm sad for her that she didn't come back. Production is so quick. Like there's been other people that have done worse and they've come back for another season or two, but so quick with Alexis. And I think that like for next season, bring back Alexis, bring back Katie, bring back Gretchen, and production should be like, we need to figure this out. Because trust me, the woman would love to see that. What a surprise it would be, people working it out and now building these alliances. And if Shannon wants to go, bye Shannon, bye. You don't even talk to these people outside anyways. I think Shannon for sure thinks that it's a job, you know? Shannon is just obsessed with having a man. She's lonely. But like, you looking like a dumbass, not being able to bike on TV and like having all these outbursts and then getting mad at the person that they filmed it. That's just like people saying, like, you shouldn't get mad at Lisa Barlow for exposing it. You should get mad at Bronwyn for having this colorful past. Like, it's just, you are the one that was acting crazy. You know, like, if you don't want to be arrested, don't go do bad things so that the police are on your tail, right? Like, of course, it sucks that it was a friend, but I think Katie was also pissed. And I think Katie just needs to be better at just being honest and communicating, or not doing these type of things. Because she just trusted the wrong people, Katie. We all do it. We all do it. Katie just trusted the wrong people that exposed her. And learning lesson. That would have been great to watch on the show. Now she's not friends with Jen. Great. Let's see who she's going to become friends with next. Look at Gina and Emily. Do they ever talk shit about each other? Even though when they're really mad? No, because they know that even though they're upset with each other, it's going to blow over. And if they're upset, they talk in a much really respectful way because they don't want to make the other person look bad on TV. Extend that grace to all your castmates. Trust me. Because this whole going solo, and these are women, these are mothers. Like, the fact that you go home and you sleep at night thinking that, well, I was hurt, so now I get to hurt them. It baffles me and it makes me lose a lot of respect. Jen is like a Britney, but like in a different way. Like, she still cares for her kids, but she's just so obsessed with like being wanted by Ryan. It's almost like should I get married? Should I not? Like, is this going to be the next couple seasons? Like, now that no one's talking about Ryan, now she doesn't want to get married to him anymore. Like, I don't even know what's going on with Jen. I really don't. I just know that she's a flip-flopper. And she rode really hard for Tamara. And it's like, where's that energy for all your other friends? How come you weren't like, I got you, Shannon, I got you. Why? Because your dogs were read by a psychic? You know that Shannon doesn't keep in touch with people when the season's over, right? Like, but you and Katie had lunch, and you iced out Katie because you thought the audience was going to be like, yeah, you did the good thing, Jen. No, people think that you're a shitty fucking friend. Because you love your friends through the worst of times and the best of times. And you help them grow and you help them become better if you really genuinely care for someone. And you ditched her so that you could look cool to other people. Or maybe you were scared of Gretchen. You're like, no, Gretchen's going to be the star, so I'm not going to, you know, she's the veteran. I'm not going to let Gretchen fight her own battles. She knows what she's doing. She's been on TV before, and I think Gretchen's fucking strong. I think Gretchen's Achilles heel is just Slade. She could have fought Tamara all alone. She didn't need all that information. She could have fought Tamara all alone. They didn't have to bring anything up from the past. Just moving forward, all the fights. Gretchen knows how to pick it. But yeah, if people want to bring things up, she also has ammo. She's known Tamara just as long. We just saw what Tamara does. She apologizes and then she goes right back at it. How long is Gretchen supposed to be the bigger person? And then the entire cast ices her out, doesn't let her on the bus. That's disgusting. Be ashamed of yourselves, okay? With your Sprinter van. Have your Sprinter van. who wants to be in the Sprinter van with freaking you psychos anyway, all screaming at each other? Like, Heather, Tamara, Shannon, Gina, Heather. Did I say that already? Emily, sorry. These 5 have turned on each other and become friends again more than, Jesus, like, episodes of Housewives are in a year. Like, they have the fakest friendship, okay? I just wish Emily could be less emotional on the show and bring more logic. It's okay to say that you don't necessarily trust Tamara with some of the bigger things that go on in your life, okay? But the way that you guys do it, and then, well, I just want you to know, it could have been done in such a different way so that if Tamara were to see it, maybe, again, she would grow from it. You guys obviously want her to change at some point, or maybe you just want her to stay the villain. Because I think that at that conversation, it could have been like, sometimes I really want to tell Tamara these big things that happen to me, but I'm so afraid that what if I get into a fight with her and she's exposing it? It's hard. And then instead of going to Tamara and being like, well, me and Heather thought this, that would be a conversation, not before she's about to throw a party for you guys. Come on, you just ruined the mood. Like, they love to ruin the mood for people. Gretchen had such a great time. They ruined it for her. Katie was fucking shitting her pants, the poor girl, and they kicked her out of the house. Like, fuck you. Like, that's disgusting behavior when you invite someone over and you kick them out. I hate when people do that. It's so classless. Moving forward, production should have no events at fucking Emily's house, because that's gross that you can just kick people out. You're a grown-ass woman. You're going to kick another woman out on the street after, what, because the fake-ass lie detector said that it was a lie? you, Miss Lawyer, should have been like, you know what, like, I understand, like, maybe you're scared because you would know how people react when they're, under oath or being questioned or interrogated. Like, Emily, of all fucking people, should know. But I guess Emily's kind of like a fake lawyer. Like, I heard she doesn't really practice anyway, so maybe she doesn't know the people reaction. She just knows, like, the theory things, on paper, but she doesn't actually know the practicality of it, like how people react, how their reactions are. I think Shane's a little bit more, like, emotionally intelligent with stuff like that, because the way that he jokes and, like, he tries to break the ice, because Emily's just so serious. Like, she's just all about, like, reading, which is great. I love that about her. It's admirable. But at the same time, like, you gotta have some street smarts. Like, you gotta see how people react to certain things. Like, especially as a lawyer. Initially, when people are brought in for interrogation, I watch enough shows to know that they typically deny it initially, and then when they warm up and they know that it's a safe space, which obviously the cops at that point are lying to them, making it seem like, don't worry, like, you won't get as much time if you're honest, then they'll be able to open up. But when you're constantly putting them in a corner and making them feel scared, like, if you keep beating a dog, it's never going to come to you. The minute that you show it love, it's going to come back to you, and then you beat it again, but dogs are just amazing creatures, but a human is going to learn to not come back to you, Eventually the dog will not come back to you, but that's manipulating them, right? I think that all these women have such strength. Like, it could be such a good show and not so dark. One of my lights just went out, and I'm just talking, but anyways, there's so many things that relate to each show, but on one show it's loud, on another show it's not loud. On one show, this person's the villain. On the other show, that person's not the villain. With Monica was, at least she admitted that she was doing it. How come Heather is always the one that wants to expose people exposing things? Did she not just say on national television that she did stuff with Captain Jason? Like, girl, that's not cool. Maybe you're the one that exposes things. Like, that was Bronwyn's thing to be upset about, and you just went at Lisa. Like, obviously there was something else there, and again, us the fans don't know, or maybe it was cut, and I just wish production wouldn't do that. I heard that apparently Bronwyn had accused Whitney initially, but that's why Lisa spoke up and was defending Whitney and saying none of us would do that, but then they made it seem like it was Lisa. But only an idiot is going to be like, well, she reacted that way, so blah, blah, blah. No. Like, dude, you guys have blamed her for everything from the beginning. And she's also going through her own stuff. She's just kind of saying, like, okay, it wasn't me. She's not going to wait to get blamed and then defend herself. Like, from the get-go, she's like, I know exactly where this is headed. Like, it's disgusting how they gaslight her. Meredith is her only friend. See how Meredith thinks that, well, it could be, but she doesn't be mean to Lisa in that moment, you know? Maybe she doesn't know what to say, but I think Lisa should respect that, because at least she's not treating her like shit, you know? I mean, Lisa can fight her own battles, I know that. But I love the way that Meredith is her friend, like, because you can't have doubts and you can't have opinions, but one thing she doesn't do is talk shit about Lisa. She's like, if that's true, that sucks, but we don't know for sure, you know? But it's not Meredith's place. Meredith only cares when it comes to Meredith, and when it came to Meredith, she directly went to Lisa. Lisa denied it, and she's going to trust her friend. And maybe she has doubts, but she's like, okay, if Lisa's saying no, she's going to take all that pieces of information. She's going to believe Angie, but she's also going to believe Lisa, you know? When people are in a bad place, they do mean things to each other. Look at all these franchises. It's how you get back together and if you can move forward. Now, if Lisa does it again, that's shitty. Things have been exposed on both sides. No, go sleep with this person and whatever. I think when Lisa's backed up in a corner, she just kind of has verbal diarrhea, and that's what gets her in trouble. Again, her reactions are bad. People love Lisa, and even though she's doing something wrong, because how the other women are treating her, and again, bullying her. Like, see what Mary said? She's like, Angie's her friend. She's like, Angie, you can't say this now, but when you guys were good, you were helping her do it. It just makes no sense. But no one wants to talk back to Mary because Mary's correct, and Mary says it from the get-go. Correct. And I think it sucked that Angie was sick, but I think it was good that she kind of stayed out of it, because Angie already has her own thing with Lisa, and it's good that she wasn't there piping up, because I think it just would have made it so much more worse. Clearly there's something there between Heather and Lisa that Lisa doesn't even know. And I heard Dolores say that the whole backflip that Whitney did, like, Whitney, you are a grown-ass woman. Like, I think that Whitney does do stuff too. I think that she's a very tit-for-tat person. I think Whitney, although she went through a lot, people are just going to tell these people things. Like, if they don't like that person, they're going to go to the person that they hate and say, you know, it could be a childhood friend, it could be a neighbor, you know, it could be anybody. And then now you have ammo, you know, and you don't bring the ammo to the show, but then one of your castmates bring ammo about you, and then you're like, that's it, game on. That's where it gets ugly, but that's just the name of the game. And you have to be strategic, of course, with your information, not being like, okay, we're going to plan to take her down. Because as you saw with Orange County, it got exposed. I believe it. I believe that Tamara and Gina had a plan. It might not have been to like kill Gretchen and take her down, but, you know, for some reason they want to go after all the new girls. Well, Tamara's profiting off of Emily, so, and Emily typically is smart, so she doesn't really leave a paper trail, and Emily's a lawyer, so I think her past is not going to be as colorful, because typically that's, you know, they do the background checks and whatnot. But Emily does not look good, and she's so smart. And Gina, with her whole, I have to disclose this information. I think it would be even, people would love Gina if she just, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, you're not going to do that. This is not the time or place. We just had a, you know, that's when people would respect Gina. You know, like, it's just, I don't know. You can't talk about, I forgot her man's name, but she can't talk about those big balls forever, you know, like, you gotta really, like, come on, hone it in. Like, you can't just be going after women, you know. These are women supporting women, but they're constantly taking women down, you know. Like, we all know who Tamara is, but everyone's following in her footsteps, you know. So Shannon hates Tamara, but, like, in that moment she defends Tamara, because that's disgusting, LGBTQ. You know what's more disgusting? When people blame someone without evidence. Have the evidence, show them, allow them to explain themselves. Maybe Gretchen will be like, this is what I did think, and now my mind's changed. You know, when people don't know, they equate two things together. And the whole LGBTQ community is brand new for some people. Some people aren't as exposed. Some people are really into the Bible, and it takes them a while to get out of that. But you can't force it or be violent or ice them out, because then they're going to think that the way that they think is more correct. And that's when, instead of uniting, there's a division. And there's already a division. It's always been a division. If someone doesn't agree with them, they divide. They don't unite. They don't educate. That's why the person that's done something wrong will always win, because their reaction is just absolutely terrible. Anyways, I'm rambling. It's just, we could go and dissect everything that's happened, but the themes are the same in all of these. And even now, Potomac. Like, it's just, this is the era that we live in. Like, there's bloggers, and you can't control people, you know? Even juries will go and talk stuff to other people, unfortunately, you know? NDAs. How many times do NDAs get leaked? It happens. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. The Kardashians had to go through so many friends before they found a solid group of friends that didn't leak information. Didn't Kim say that there was a friend of hers that she told everyone different news, and that one friend leaked information and she cut that friend off? It happens. It's juicy. It's about a celebrity. Like, no one's going to go be like, see that bum on the street right there? I got to tell you something about him. Who cares? But Kim K, oh my God, exciting. Larsa, exciting. You know, Gretchen, exciting. Tamara, exciting. Like, this is more exciting because the way they react to it, the audience know it's just going to get right under their skin. And no one's going to actually do their research. And it's just come to a point where no one even cares about the luxury anymore. And like, poor Stephanie on Miami. No one cared that she had the private jet. When 10 years ago, we want to see the luxury. It's the Real Housewives. Now it's like, take them down. Take each other down. Yeah. It's like, it's become so negative. I even kind of feel bad for Teresa and Joe and Melissa, because should they move forward, like, are people going to hate them now? Because like, it's like, oh man, it was so much fun when like we had to pick sides, you know? This is actually people's lives. And if you want to watch a fight, go watch UFC, go watch WWE, you know? But let people resolve issues, and it's a cast. And they're getting paid to do it. So let them do their job, and we can just watch it evolve like that. And I think that would be such a more fun show than just the takedowns. The takedowns is just, we've seen so many takedowns. Everyone's going to get taken down at some point, I'm sure. And every single person that's a celebrity has been taken down. There's been things leaked about them. And you have your PR that will stop it, like Kris Jenner does, like right in its tracks, and it doesn't hit the press at all. Or you just let it run. Be like, that's my past. Look at Lindsay Lohan. Look at her past. Look at her life now. People are allowed to make mistakes. And if you're going to remember people by their mistakes, then you're the piece of shit. Because people can change. And it's true. People are not going to stay the same. And if they do, then remove yourself from them. But there needs to be an allowance for that growth, because you've done this. No one can tell me that they haven't made mistakes. That's ridiculous. You know, like, even nuns have made mistakes, okay? We're humans, and we grow, and we have that intelligence, and it's becoming so uninteresting to watch that you don't allow people to evolve, you know? And I think that's why people love Salt Lake City, because they fight, they go crazy, they hate each other. They're not as close friends. Like, Lisa can walk into a room and be like, I don't really like you, Whitney. Mary can be like, what? You know? Brittany and Bronwyn do not like each other, but they still sleep in the same room together. They keep going. They don't try to, okay, no, we're not doing it. Except to Monica, which was a big, huge mistake. And I really hope that Bronwyn confides in Monica moving forward, and that's the alliance that she needs, because obviously Todd's not interested. Stop making him look bad. Bring back Monica. Bring back Alexis. I love that Carlos does the podcast with them. But that's it. I just wanted to kind of like bitch about that, because these are grown-ass women, and I haven't really heard my perspective come out through anybody. People are just, and bloggers are just fueling the fire, and it's like, I have kind of a different perspective, and I'm going to stick to it until I'm proven wrong. But that's why I think it's interesting to watch. I'm really interested to see people navigate the resolution, and I think Miami, to be honest, and Salt Lake City is where we kind of see that the most. So God, these shows are exhausting. See? That's why I don't have many friends, because I can just watch this and be exhausted for them. And I'm just kidding. I do have great friends, and we became friends later in life, and I put very much effort into our friendships because I want to maintain them. And you gotta be careful with these women, man. They're crazy, you know. So yeah. Anyways, I'll probably do another, not recap, but kind of opinion on the show. I don't really want to do a play-by-play. We have so many bloggers out there, and you can just go watch the show and see what happened. But I will kind of see the main points, things that need to be talked about. And I know my perspective is, like I said, different, and I want to just put it out there, and maybe that will help just change the way some people think about it, you know. With that being said, guys, excited to see the new ones, excited for the Mormon Wives to come. I'm going to be watching that as well. And I just finished Selling Sunset, by the way. I loved the end of the season because it got real. And they started saying, you think it's for the cameras? And that's what I like, because that's being authentic. And I'm not saying exposing the fourth wall, but I know that the producer is Adam DeVello, and he's the one that did The Hills. And everyone thought The Hills was real, but it was so fake. And sometimes with Selling Sunset, like, I know it's more like luxurious, but things look like they're produced. But towards the end, it got so real and it was exposed. And I love Brie. Like, she's just like, she doesn't care. And she tried to keep her mouth quiet about something that she didn't really intend to bring to the show, but she wanted to, you know, she did bring it in a classy way. But then it got turned on her. And then she exposed all the other girls that knew, but not by choice, because they kept putting her in a corner. They're like, how could you do that? Blah, blah. She's like, really? Because I told you guys. Like, finally she's like, I did tell you guys about it, and you guys chose not to stop me. So, and then, you know, because they're on a show, it's going to happen. I don't think Brie didn't go and be like, Chelsea. Brie was actually like, shit, I need to bring it to her, because it was exposed to her on the show. So what's she going to do, go behind the show and do it? And the way that she told Chelsea was in a very polite and kind of compassionate way. Chelsea could have been like, you know what, thank you so much for telling me this. I'm going to kind of just do my own research. Okay, everything's falling apart. It's God telling me I got to like wrap this up. But Chelsea could have been like, thank you so much. I appreciate you telling me this. I'm going to go see, you know, what's going on. And then we want to see real life. We just don't want to see the little skirts and the, let me sell $10 million homes, and I'm going to not be friends with this girl because of this girl. And I think in that moment, Chelsea was so vulnerable and real. But then something happened where she was like, why was this brought on the show? I think it was great that it was brought on the show, because the way that you guys bonded, and obviously Chelsea knew that something was going on. She admitted it. She's like, you know when you just know things are not right? She didn't be like, no, that can't be my husband. She just knew right away. But then she turns it back on Brie. I think Brie did it in the most respectful way for a reality show, because you guys are in a reality show. Like, you guys became friends on the show. So when things are brought on the show, you expose it on the show. And I think Brie did it she didn't go tell anybody. She literally sat down with Chelsea and said, this information was given to me. If her man wasn't cheating, they would have gotten, and they would have shown it, and she would be like, no, it wasn't. That's it. But she knew. And you know what? Like, it's nice to see. But I guess because that was brought on the show, and Chelsea thought about it later, she's like, now everyone's going to see it. Like, who cares? Like, people can grow from it. Like, as much as your skirts and whatever look nice and your little body, like, that's just fake. Like, that's only LA. But real life people get divorced and their husbands cheat. And instead of turning on the women, you reflect on yourself, you know. But ultimately, she turned on Brie. And the funny part is, like, she was throwing stones at Brie when her glass house had cracks in it. So it's okay to be a woman that is obsessed with her career. And if your husband's going to cheat, then he's the piece of shit. But now you're turning on the woman. Like, I think Chelsea has a little bit of just self-reflecting to do. And Emma is kind of like, you know, a Barbie. Like, she's just Barbie, you know. But it's funny how now that there's a penis involved, and this penis apparently had said something about Chrishell. Chrishell doesn't like him. Emma can't be friends with him. One thing, and I'm going to make this really quick because I didn't want to do Selling Sunset. I really like Rochelle. She's so well spoken, but she has an issue with everything. And it's like, Rochelle, like, well, what do you want people to do? It's like she almost gives people an ultimatum because that person talked negative about. She's also like a Heather, like educate people, show them that lesbian couples are not as bad as they think it is. Make them change their opinion. But when you kind of act like bitter and mean, and it just paints everyone in the same light because they're not exposed to that and they already have an opinion about it. I think that this is, and I know it's hurtful, but I think that these are such great growth opportunities and education opportunities rather than just being stuck up and being like, nope, cut off, that's it. Like, I don't want to deal with it. Yeah, you're dating G and you guys are great and you're so well spoken. And I think that, like, if people could see that, it'll have the, like, attract, don't promote, attract, but they choose to kind of get upset. I get it. Like, it's a show and you are blindsided sometimes and you don't have time to process. You don't have a week to be like, okay, I need to lay in bed. Like, it's like the next day. And you just got to pray that, like, the way that you react, there's still room for apologies and moving forward. And it's not so, like, in the sand because, like, that's where it kind of gets a bit kind of, you lose people at that point, because then you are not really being authentic. You're just kind of not wanting to look stupid to the audience. And you guys already look stupid. Like, you're in, like, the girl showed up, the Canadian one, Alana. Brett specifically said wear shoes for the construction site, and she showed up in heels, open-toed heels. And on construction site, you need, like, steel-toed boots. Like, you guys wear crazy outfits to showings. Like, it's almost like it's a fashion show, but you guys are on a show. Like, that's what people want to see. That's the fake fantasy. Make everything else real. Anyways, it's just so interesting to observe people and see how they react. I don't know how I would do it. I'd probably just stay quiet the whole time because I'm like, if I react, I'm going to be beating people up. I'll be in jail because I'm very impulsive and very reactive. I need time to process. Sometimes I'm hit with news and I start panicking and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to think about it. When I sleep, I'm going to have a solution. And it works. But if I'm put on the spot, I don't know, like, my impulsivity and, like, my emotions will I can't be analytical, But I'd be a great lawyer because I'm very good when it comes to, like, law and, like, cases, like, and, like, semantics, like, oh no, but he said this and the law states this. Like, when it comes to people just being stupid, it's like, ugh. Anyways, I'm rambling. I had a lot to say, and I'm glad that I'm able to get it off, and I hope that this resonates with someone. I hope that the podcast becomes a little bit more organized, but, this is me, this is my style. And my opinion is different, and I'm going to say it. And I just hope that it resonates with someone and hopefully gives another perspective to what's going on. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. We will come back and gossip about these crazy bitches next week. And yeah, have a good one.